your mind, every word a step forward. Let the learning begin. Let the learning begin. Boost your English. Boost your English. B-Y-E. B-Y-E. Welcome to the workshop.
BYE Workshop, Episode 4. Welcome to the fourth session of the BYE Workshop. I am Ryan. If you are looking for comfort or entertainment, you are in the wrong place. This is not a conversation. It is a clinical extraction of linguistic data. We are here to dismantle the English language and replace ambiguity with surgical precision. In this workshop, we do not suggest. We instruct. Your progress depends entirely on your ability to process these facts with absolute focus. Listen closely. There will be no repetitions. Let us begin. The vocabulary presented now focuses on the fundamental structures of human kinship, biological lineage, and immediate family. Siblings. Brothers and sisters. For example, he has no siblings and is entirely accustomed to isolation. Spouse. A husband or wife, considered in relation to their partner. For example, the legal document requires the signature of your spouse. Twins. Two children or animals born at the same birth. For example, the twins possessed an identical genetic code but entirely different personalities. Relatives. People connected by blood or marriage. For example, the gathering included distant relatives he had never previously met. Ancestors. People, typically ones more remote than a grandparent, from whom one is descended. For example, his ancestors migrated across the continent centuries ago. The focus now shifts to relationships formed through legal alliances and reconstructed family units. Parents-in-law. The parents of one's spouse. For example, managing expectations is crucial when interacting with your parents-in-law. Son-in-law and daughter-in-law. The husband or wife of one's child. For example, his son-in-law assumed control of the family business. Stepfather. A man who is married to one's mother after the divorce or death of one's biological father. For example, his stepfather assumed the role of his primary guardian. Half-brother. A brother with whom one has only one biological parent in common. For example, she discovered she had a half-brother living in another jurisdiction. Foster parents. People who officially take a child into their family for a period of time, without becoming the child's legal parents. For example, the foster parents provided a highly structured environment for the displaced child. Orphan. A child whose parents are dead. For example, the protagonist of the thriller is an orphan seeking his true origins. The following vocabulary is essential for navigating the mechanics of romantic engagements and civil unions. Dating. The initial stage of a romantic relationship where two people meet socially. For example, they have been dating for 6 months and are now considering a formal commitment. Engagement. A formal agreement to get married. For example, he purchased a ring at the jewelry store to formally announce their engagement. Marriage versus wedding. Marriage is the legally or formally recognized union, the wedding is the ceremony itself. For example, the wedding was a brief civil ceremony, but the marriage lasted for decades. Civil partnerships. Legal unions or pacts between partners that grant rights similar to marriage. For example, many couples now opt for civil partnerships to formalize their legal and financial commitment. Wedding rings. Also known as wedding bands, these are the rings exchanged during the ceremony. For example, the jeweler verified the authenticity of the metal used for the wedding rings. We conclude with the clinical terminology surrounding critical life events, from conception to the dissolution of unions. Pregnancy. The condition or period of being pregnant. For example, the obstetrics department monitored the pregnancy with strict protocols. Gynecologist. A physician who specializes in the medical care of the female reproductive system, often abbreviated as OB/GYN. For example, the gynecologist confirmed the viability of the procedure. Midwife. A health professional trained to support and care for women during pregnancy and childbirth. For example, the midwife assisted with the delivery in the maternity ward. Abortion. The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy. For example, the clinic provides medical counseling prior to an abortion. Adoption. The legal process of taking another's child and bringing it up as one's own. For example, the adoption process requires extensive background checks and uncompromising scrutiny. Single parent. A person bringing up a child or children without a partner. For example, the daily schedule of a single parent is often relentlessly demanding. To break up. To end a romantic relationship. For example, they decided to break up due to a total lack of communication. Divorce. The legal dissolution of a marriage by a court. For example, the divorce proceedings were finalized after months of hostile negotiation. Desertion. The action of illegally or unethically leaving one spouse or family. For example, abandonment of the marital home is legally classified as desertion. Widowhood. The state of having lost one spouse to death and not remarried. For example, she faced the sudden reality of widowhood with remarkable stoicism. Lineage. Lineal descent from an ancestor. For example, the bloodline and lineage were meticulously documented in the historical archives. Inheritance. A thing that is inherited, such as financial assets or genetic traits. For example, the heirs fiercely disputed the division of the inheritance. Congratulations to those who have listened to this session in its entirety. Your discipline is the first step toward true mastery. I trust this workshop has been profitable to your learning process. As of April 2026, the BYE podcast has over 30 episodes available online. Each one is a repository of vocabulary, grammar, and detailed explanations on a wide range of subjects. You will also find short stories designed for both your engagement and your instruction. Use these resources wisely. Keep boosting your English. Bye for now.